Sheriff Scott Berry is here, and so Scott, could you please bring us up to date on the security changes?
Absolutely. I know that you gentlemen and ladies don't need the history lesson, but I think maybe some of the people in the audience might need to see the foundation I'm laying for what we've come up with for the courthouse security plan. So if you'll indulge me just a minute. In 2006, Georgia legislature and governor at that time signed into law a bill directing the sheriff, chief judge of every county, to come up with a court security plan. We did. We came up with a plan, and working at that time with the county government, we had civilian screeners on the door. That was an agreement I made. And we've operated courthouse security at a very minimal level. We've been evaluated twice. As by law, we're required to do that every 4 years. In the 9 years it's been in effect, we've done it twice. Just as we've obeyed the law. But what I've not done is live up to my duty. I have a duty and obligation to provide security for the courthouse. Nobody wants that. I appreciate that. I wish it wasn't necessary. But I have a duty and an obligation to do it. It's not on you, gentlemen. It's the sheriff's duty and obligation. That was me, but I'm sorry. Turn the back.
I mine's still on, keep it on.
This thing will go off all night if I don't do something about it now. I'm sorry. It's not on the Board of Commissioners to take this action. This is solely my decision and solely my responsibility. I don't delegate that. I shouldn't delegate it. I'm the sheriff. And these are decisions I have to make. The decisions that have been made were after 18 months of talking about it, studying on it, analyzing it, and working together to try to come up with the best solution as economically feasible as possible. And this is the plan. Everybody in this room, everybody in the county doesn't like it, and I appreciate that. I do. I understand that. I've heard them. They've come to see me. They've called me. They've talked to me about it. I do appreciate that. But it's economically feasible. It's the least intrusive way to go about doing this. And I'm going to move forward with the security plan. Security plan takes effect January 1st. As you know, TJ, sitting there in the back, was able to get a baggage scanning machine, a $28,000 baggage and scanning machine that's state of the art.
Excuse me, Scott, you said January 1st. I think
I'm sorry, did I say January 1st? I meant September 1st. I misspoke. My bad. Thank you, Chairman, for correcting me. We were able to get the baggage scanner at no cost to the county because he was able to get, out of 21 counties, he's able to scrounge up enough money to be able to buy one for Oconee County. Thank you, TJ. I appreciate it. This has been an exhaustive effort by a lot of people. There's been a lot of time and energy put into this. I appreciate y'all's input as well. Somebody has to make a decision, and it's mine to make. Somebody has the duty to do this, and it's my duty. It's not a maybe. It's not something I take lightly. I take what I do. I take myself seriously, but I take what I do very seriously. And we're going to increase the security of the courthouse. I don't know if you gentlemen have any comments for me, but I think y'all been great participants in this process. I think the county attorneys, I don't know if you have anything you want to say, Daniel, about my duty and responsibility or not. You don't have to. I accept my duty and responsibility. But
it is a responsibility of the sheriff for courthouse security by law.
That's right. You know, this all came out of the courthouse shootings in Fulton, Brian Nichols, Fulton County. And whether we think it's likely or not in Oconee County, Scott's duty is exactly as he said. He's got to come up with a security plan that the chief judge approves and that the board can fund. And all these gentlemen here put a lot of work into getting to that point.
Questions that the board may have of Scott, unless you have some other comments?
no, sir, I'm through.
Scott, I think one of the things that you had shared that the current deputies in the courthouse will be working with the civilian screener.
Yes.
To handle that duty. As the process unfolds, there'll be a combination of the deputy that's assigned here at the courthouse as well as the civilian screener.
Right. That's correct. We're gonna have a civilian screener and deputy sheriff at the one entrance that will remain open, which is the bottom entrance closest to the parking lot.
Questions?
I do appreciate the effort y'all put into this. And it's been a lot of work by a lot of people. Jeff and I, we've worked on, we've got some scheduling things, we've got some signage and things we have to, we're not finished yet, but we're working on it. Thank you, Joe, I appreciate it.
But everything should be in effect by September.
It will be in effect by September 1st.
Scott, and maybe as we always do, give public an opportunity to make
Absolutely.
any comments, and you may want to.
I'll be happy
around a minute
to,
or
oh,
two
I'm
if
not
there's
going
any
anywhere, I'm next on the agenda.
Any public comments regarding the courthouse security plan?
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm Brian Broderick. I live at 117 South Main Street in Watkinsville. I'm on the Watkinsville City Council. I represent Post 1. I'm also a member of our Main Street Committee in Watkinsville. I'm here representing all my colleagues on the Watkinsville City Council, and I want to say first that we have tremendous respect for all of you guys and appreciate our working relationship with you. We have the same amount of respect for Sheriff Berry and Judge Sweat, and appreciate what they do and what they do every day, and we appreciate what Scott says is his duty, and I appreciate the history lesson. But I took an oath to look after the laws of this country, this state, and also look after the folks in Watkinsville and our businesses and citizens in Watkinsville, and I think this proposal does a disservice to Watkinsville. I want to say first that the City Council is unanimously in support of a safe courthouse. That's what we want as well. But we're also unanimously opposed to closing the front door of the courthouse to accomplish that goal. For the entirety of my tenure in the way of history, and I'll share a little bit of that with y'all, I don't think y'all need it, but the audience might. We've worked to support downtown for more than 12 years. We've put hundreds of thousands of dollars into this downtown. Sidewalks, lamps, streetscape, our money, federal money, state money, all working together to improve this Main Street and take care of our businesses who are represented here and do everything we can. This proposal is a big step backwards. Symbolically closing the front door of the courthouse, I think, makes a terrible statement to our citizens. What does it say to the citizens? It says the government is further from you. It's harder to reach. If you want to come in and get your tag redone, you got to come through a metal detector. I think that's an awful message to send to our citizens. We shouldn't be putting barriers between citizens and government. I think limiting the parking in front of the courthouse to only law enforcement. Look at that picture behind you, right there. And then think about it with a bunch of police cars and vehicles sitting there. What does that say to the people when they drive through and their first impression, this is our most prominent government building, one of the most prominent buildings in the county, and what they're going to see is only law enforcement vehicles sitting there and official vehicles. Again, I don't think it's particularly welcoming. I think there's going to be efficiency challenges with your entry point. We've all been through security at the airport. What happens when you have jurors, employees, and the public all trying to access this facility at once? I think it creates tremendous problems. Now, because of the way this process is unfolded, I appreciate what the sheriff says about everybody being involved, but nobody's really been involved. I don't think any of us had any idea this was coming. I understand that's probably by law, but I think the best ideas do best when they're put out into the public and the public has a chance to offer something. It doesn't sound like the sheriff's interested in hearing that. Again, I understand his position, what he has to do in his duty, but I've got to do mine, and I think the best ideas in our democracy are when the citizens have an opportunity to make a statement about that and have some input. Again, I don't have a lot of solutions to offer because I'm not sure what's gone into this process. I'd love to see us work together to find the funds to do this. Communities fund their priorities. If we can find the money, I'd love to see us work on this. Let's develop a system that's less expensive. I don't know who decides what the threat level is. Do we have to be ranked #1 on the state rankings? I don't know. You know, what's the? You guys know more than I do, but I don't. Something tells me that Fulton County style security isn't commensurate with our threat level here at this facility. But again, I have to defer to Scott on that. I haven't seen the work, and he's the expert. Nationally, a lot of us talk about judicial overreach. It does make me nervous when we don't, when the public does not have an opportunity to comment on something. It makes me worried at the national level. It makes me worried here. You know, when I was a boy, we moved to Northwest Woods. That was our first home in Oconee County. And we had a front door that didn't work at one point. You know, it rotted out, the sill rotted, we couldn't use it. And we didn't have a lot of money at the time, but, you know, Mom and Dad, we didn't use our front door a lot. We could have left the front door closed. It didn't need to be fixed. People who used it were visitors, mainly folks knocking on the door. We weren't people who were used to our home. It wasn't our family, it wasn't our friends. But we fixed the front door. And I guess when y'all's front door rots out, when your front door doesn't work, you find the money and you fix your front door. You don't shut your front door because it's not convenient to not have it working. So I'd ask you guys on behalf of the citizens and businesses of Watkinsville to do the same thing for our most prominent civic building. Let's keep the front doors of the courthouse open. Thank you.
I'm Charles Stewart. Joanne and I own 3 units near here and a business called Attic Treasures. But first, Sybil Manley, who runs the massage agency right next door, wanted to be here, but her daughter is in a hospital in South Carolina, and she asked me to read a one-line statement. She said, I often have clients who cannot walk the distance from the parking in the back of the courthouse to my agency. So please allow the front and side parking to remain open. That's Sybil's statement. Now mine's my statement. For 6 years, I have been a businessman here 7 days a week, 9 hours a day. Joanne and I put our lifetime savings into a business here. And it's been a struggle because, as you know, Watkinsville is not an easy place to stop at. And it will harm the Welcome Center, it will harm our businesses. There's supposed to be 3 parking places on our side of the street, but if one car parks in the middle of those 3, nobody else can park because they don't want to back in with all that traffic. And you know how much traffic there is on Main Street. Our typical weekday business is somebody who walks in with their tag in their hand that's parked in front of the courthouse and tells me that once a year, when they pick up their tag, they come and shop in downtown Watkinsville. And that's the only time they come. If they have to park in the back, they're not going to come to downtown Watkinsville. So I would ask, why is the front of the courthouse a security risk when the back of the courthouse is even closer to public parking? That I do not understand, Sheriff. Because the front has much more lawn space between it and the door than the back of it does. And if we could, I was told that they could still have farmers market, but what about the Alabama gate? That's when people really stop in Watkinsville, and they can't park there if the signs say police parking only. So please keep the courthouse parking as it has been, or it will have very serious and negative effects on downtown businesses and on the Welcome Center, which won't be very welcoming with all of that barrier there.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart.
My name is Joanne Stewart, and I'm here as a representative of the local downtown businesses and offices in town. We're a 24-member strong group, and we have several concerns about the proposals that we've heard. We don't know enough about the security angles and requirements to have